Daniel, one of the features, it feels like, of this run towards the title for Liverpool is how they have managed to keep stress away, to keep nerves completely out of the picture. It looks so effortless at times today.
I think that the calmness of the manager and the experience of the spine of the team, the experienced players that they've got in Alisson, Verge, Mo, who have been in these moments, you know, many times. Obviously, they've failed at times coming here as well. And throughout the season, you know, I think they've performed unbelievable. They've been consistent. And I think that's not a trait that is respected a lot of the time, because I think sometimes, you know, when you're talking about the best players in teams, sometimes they're top, sometimes they're not. But when you're looking at the big names for Liverpool, the goalkeeper when he's been playing, Verge has been a revelation this season, and Mo's numbers, I mean, he's on a record pace right now. So you have to say to them that even though the players are older, it seems as if they're like fine wine, baby. They're just getting better as time goes on. So give them a lot of credit. And the manager, what he's done to come into the squad, into the club, and get the squad to play his style and almost take on his personality in terms of how calm they are in games. They seem to stick to his game plan quite often. Today, the tactics were different. But again, they come out here, they do whatever they need to do. And as you said, they adapt. So I'm really impressed.
Spearheaded by a sensational season from Mo Salah, as Patrick was alluding to in the questions, and we'll come on to talk about just what an extraordinary year it's been for Mo Salah. But there it is again, and Liverpool fans are not going to tire of seeing their team 11 points out in front, and whether Varsy's superior goal difference as well, 10 better than Arsenal, their nearest challenger right now. Of course, we're beaten at home by West Ham yesterday to really put this on Liverpool's plate. Only 3 times in Premier League history has a lead that big or greater been overturned. The most recent, 97-98. Micah, can you build a case? Can you build a case for something extraordinary happening here from someone else to come from the pack?
No, I think if Arsenal had a fully fit squad, maybe, but no Saka, losing Havertz. I mean, I just don't have anyone at top. I think if you look at Arsenal probably kicking himself in January that they didn't bring anyone in. Of course, you don't know you're going to get injuries. But I just think this Liverpool team can adapt. They've played the heavy metal football and then they go back to playing a low block and then can counter-attack. I think everything about this team is just sensational. It's finding a way to win. And at times I've watched Liverpool this season, I don't think they've been scintillating. I don't, but I think they've managed their moments really well. Daniel talked about the key players in the team. The spine is incredibly good and they hardly get injured. That is a main factor. Jamie talked about Liverpool before and Van Dijk, that season when they didn't compete, he was injured. But when you've got someone like that at the back, it makes a massive difference. You can just see the confidence oozing out of him. And we'll talk about Mo Salah a bit later.
You know, the star men turn up every week.
Correct.
The star men turn up every week. That's what you need. And you obviously need a helping hand along the way. But the only thing we keep saying, we're looking at Arsenal and go, Arsenal needs to do better, but you need other teams to do better. You can't just keep looking at Arsenal to be them challengers. They've obviously come up short and maybe again missing that striker. But it's up to the other teams and some of the other top teams to start competing. I know we've been critical of Arsenal for slacking off recently, but you need 1 or 2 other teams to compete as well. It can't be just on Arsenal.
Daniel mentioned the word legacy when we were talking earlier about Mo Salah, but do you think there could be a theory that some of these senior players in this Liverpool dressing room, the likes of Alisson, Virgil van Dijk, Mo Salah, would want more than 1 league title to show for their efforts at Liverpool?
I've said this for the last few years. What Liverpool have done, or the quality players that they've got, and how good a team they've been, they haven't won enough. And I'm not criticising them really. It's just the competition's been so strong. And you look at Manchester City, arguably, 4 titles in a row, winning a treble, a domestic treble as well. Arguably the greatest sort of Premier League team we've seen, or certainly era, is Pep Guardiola, and that's what this Liverpool team have come up against. And when you actually look at what they've won, it isn't enough, or maybe you could frame it a different way. They probably deserved a little bit more. I mean, they've lost, I think, at least 2 Champions League finals, lost the Premier League on the last day of the season twice as well, with sort of record numbers in terms of points. So, yeah, I think what Mo Salah said there as well, legacy-wise in terms of winning things, because you've got to think of the club that you play for. This is a club who's got as good a history as probably any club in world football. You know, so you talk about putting these players up against, you know, the goalkeeper up against Ray Clements or Virgil van Dijk up against Alan Hansen. These guys have won 6, 7 titles.
Could this team do that, Jim? Do you think if he keeps some of the star men there, obviously recruitment again in the summer, that they could try and win it for the next 2? They look at City and think City might need a year or 2 to rebuild themselves. Is that the challenge now for this team?
Yeah.
You win the league, kick on for the next 2 or 3 years.
You know that better than anybody, you know, about winning and going again. I do think Liverpool were a little bit unfortunate. The year they won the league, Van Dijk gets the big injury, a cruciate, you know, something that's hard to sort of replace. But what I would say is an exciting thing for Liverpool is Slot didn't buy any. He hasn't bought anyone really. They brought Chiesa in at the last minute to try and maybe cover Salah if he was injured. Now, he's going to know this squad a lot better going into next season. And if I'm being honest, he only ever uses 14 or 15 players. There's probably 4 or 5 players he doesn't rate in the squad. I'm not being critical, but he's probably thinking, OK, now I know what this team needs. And even though this team's going to go on and win the league title, I still think there's 3 positions in this team that can be improved quite a bit. It's not about bringing 4 or 5 players in and squad players and improving the team or a certain area. What
positions would you say?
I think Liverpool could bring a left back in. I think they can bring a centre forward in and an attacker midfield player who I'm talking about actually going into the team, you know, in sort of 3 areas, and then maybe improve, you know, certain areas of the squad as well. So that's pretty exciting, and you would imagine Liverpool would have money to spend because, as I said, they haven't spent anything in the last couple of years.
He said this week, actually, I think Arne Slot, that they know now which areas of the team they want to target in the summer, which is an exciting prospect for Liverpool when they could win it very comfortably this time round. Let's have a look at the last 11 games they face. And as I said, 7 of them, including the next 3, are at Anfield, which feels like a big advantage, doesn't it, in the run-in, when they need a maximum 26 points to see off Arsenal, who can still get to a maximum of 89. That's if they win all their remaining games. And I'm not sure if the team here would think that is possible or not. Liverpool can still get to 97. So 7 at home. Do you think it's going to be 4 or 5 games? Might the actual celebrations start before the end of the season? Before even Arsenal actually head to Anfield 3 weeks before the season's out?
I think they've got some tough games though. Everton, you know, those derby games, you never know what can happen in those types of games there. Fulham have been playing exceptional. Newcastle, they're playing against teams that, even though some of them are going to be fighting for European places, and then there's other teams in there that, when players are just playing free, and it's like, you know what, we've not really got much to play for outside of just showing ourselves and playing well. It goes the other way as well, in that at times those teams aren't necessarily, you know, at their best. But for me, they're going to win 7 or 8 of those games. If we're being real, they're going to win 7 or 8 of those games. The key is how they do it. You know, they don't have to win in the great way of scoring 4 or 5 or whatever. It's just great if it's a 1-0, it's a 1-0.
This is what we used to do, you know, when we were obviously with 10, 11, 12 games to go, the manager would remind players, particularly the strikers, you score 2 goals a game, now you win the league.
What was that mentality like when you're going for it, when you got that lead?
Obviously, listen, it's more exciting for the neutral if it's a bit tight, but for you in a dressing room and you're that much clear, it's fantastic. And you think you're 11, but a couple of days later you want to be further ahead. You just want to give that.
So are you sort of creating your own sort of paranoia that 11 is not enough?
Oh yeah, you have to have that. You have to have that. I suppose that you're a bit of tension in the dressing room. Say, listen, particularly if you start looking at stats, you think if you slip up now, you'd be a laughing stock. So you keep yourself. You're looking at the players there getting interviewed afterwards, and obviously they're probably low key a little about it. But in the dressing room, you know what a big result is. The manager knows, the opposition will know, but you still didn't have to kick on. And
but did you tell the players that as a captain, when just keep your head, or what sort of environment?
Yeah, you would be reminding people, but about being complacent and being on your toes. You'd have good squad members, and obviously the manager would do it. The senior players would do it. You make sure you don't slack off in training. Or you look at some of the fixtures there, for example, and you're thinking you're playing Southampton at home, but you treat Southampton like you're playing Real Madrid. You treat teams with respect. And if they carry on doing what they're doing, then Liverpool don't have to do anything extraordinary. Just do what they're doing, be efficient. The 2 goals a game is a big one. It's a kind of simple message going. You get them, which you've been doing all season anyway, at least 2 goals a game. You're guaranteed to win the league.
I think when you're speaking, and I'm speaking, because you're speaking about the team that you support, you're always thinking, oh, I don't want to say that in case it comes back and haunt me. But if Man City were in that position or Arsenal in that position,
it's done.
It's done.
I've said that.
I know,
so come on, have a bit of conviction.
I do think it's done. And it's not just because of the league. My point being is, what you've got to remember is this Liverpool team have only really lost one game of any significance, which was Nottingham Forest. They lost in the Champions League in the dead rubber. They lost in an FA Cup when they changed the whole team. And they lost in a first leg against Tottenham, which was basically half-time. The tie wasn't over. So really, when you go through the season, this is a team who just don't lose games. And Arsenal, I think if Arsenal have got a fully fit team and Liverpool are fully fit, there's probably very little in it. If they played in a cup final, it's a toss of a coin. But with the injuries they've got, the players that they've had sent off, they've had a little bit of unfortunate times, at times their own fault, as yesterday was. But Arsenal aren't good enough. They've got Marino up front. He's a midfield player. You can't win the league with that. So I think, the lead and how good this Liverpool team has been, there's no one catching Liverpool.
We keep looking at teams, you go, that's a tough game. Everton's going to be tough. This was tough today. But they turn up.
Yeah.
Yep, they just keep on trucking, don't they, and keep on winning. And talking of reminders, Manchester City are just reminding everyone here. If you just look behind you on the little screen there.
4 in a row, champions!
Champions, that's right.